that.
Thank you.
Mhm. So on the next slide, it just gives a side-by-side comparison of what we budgeted to where I expect that we will end. Overall, the changes are greatly attributed to the police department and the dispatch. With dispatch not being quite up and running in this fiscal year, it will be fully staffed going into next year. We did have some staffing changes moving into different departments, so it affected a few, but it's a net effect. Next, we'll look at the enterprise funds. The overall approved budget for fiscal 25 was just over 3 million in total. The next slide again goes over the water department, refuse, sewer, and fleet are all expected to be under budget this year, with just utility billing being over, and that is due to staffing changes that were not originally budgeted, positions that were added. So the side-by-side comparison, again, just looking at what we budgeted and where we're expecting to end the current fiscal year. Most of it has to do with the loss of staff, most of those being classic members that make a significant savings to benefits. And now we'll take a quick look at where we're expecting or what we're requesting for fiscal 26. For general fund, our total fiscal 25 adopted was 11.2 million. What we're proposing for fiscal 26 is just over 12 million, an increase of almost 850,000. Most of that is attributed to the addition of the maintenance department, which was approved in the current fiscal year. The 4 groundskeepers added and a reallocation of some of our positions and fully staffing our dispatch. Looking at our enterprise funds, what we had adopted for fiscal 25 sitting at just 3.1, we're looking at an increase to 3.6 million, overall 550,000. So some things to note with that, we're not increasing any positions. Those are all working within what we have. We did assume a 12% overall health insurance cost increase that will go into effect in December. Our CalPERS employer rates and unfunded liability rates will be updated in July as well. So just looking at these are costs that are beyond our control. This is really the only increase that we're looking at to personnel are the costs that are outside of our control, really.
You say the only increases you're attributing that to is the call center?
In PD, just looking at from what we budgeted to.
Okay. That's almost $1 million a year. Is that what you? 941,000, right?
Are you looking at page?
I'm looking at
slide
your
12?
26, page 12.
They aren't, police and dispatch isn't increasing that much. The biggest increase that we're seeing is the maintenance, the 4 groundskeepers from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26. Maintenance was looking at 567,000 in their personnel costs. And in 26, it will go up to 910,000. But with that personnel addition will also be the reduction of the outside professional contracts. So we will see a reduction in our operating expenses.
And so the was the 567,000, was that basically the outside contract?
No, it's just personnel, our personnel. This doesn't include the contract.
The 567 is our original staff in maintenance.
Okay. So it's an increase of 910,000.
Not an increase of, it's increased to 910,000. So whatever the difference is that.
Okay.
300 and some.
And So I guess my question is really, what was the cost of our outsourcing?
What was the cost of those contracts?
It was essentially it balanced out. So what we were paying for outside landscaping was equivalent to hiring 4 groundskeepers. So right now, we're only looking at the personnel budget, but whatever that difference is, you should see it offset in the operational expenses.
Which I believe we did call out in the last budget workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a trade-off.
Well,
They're
it's-
bringing it
Yeah, but,
in-house.
okay, but it's only for a year.
Only for a year?
We
Is that-
assume the benefits of the people we're employing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Which we didn't have. So we're-
Yeah, so our personnel costs are going up, but our
Right.
operational costs will be going down by the equivalent dollar amount.
On your slide 5, just for clarification, I don't know if you can bring it up, but the ones that have the red and green.
Mhm.
So for example, city council, it says it's in the red and it says 26,267. That's not
Mhm.
saying that we're over budget 26,000. That's just saying that's where we're ending.
Yes, that's
But-
where you're ending.
okay.
Yeah, and then on slide 6 is the net effect there. So you're over budget 5,058, and that's attributed to the unfunded liability application.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mhm.
Let me ask one other question.
Mhm.
You may not have the answer to this, but when you present us with general fund 25-26 personnel expenditures, that's all in wages,
Mhm.
benefits,
Benefits.
FICA, everything.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? Thank you.
Thank you. We will bring, the next budget workshop will be April 15th.
And what will that one be included?
So we gotta wait a month. Coming to directions.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to department and city manager reports. Ms. Trejo?
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that our rec department is now open 7 days a week. So their hours will be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. unless otherwise posted. And then I believe the chief and then once he's done, Jocelyn both have reports.
And then after that, we're going to do public comment that I just skipped, so. Go ahead,
Good
sir.
evening again. Real quick. The dispatch center, as I reported out last council meeting, we did start testing the radio equipment. So for the last week and a half now, we have taken over the dispatching duties from Hanford. So they're getting the call taking, we're doing the dispatching.
Explain that again.
So
They're getting the call taking.
yeah, Hanford PD is getting all the 911 calls, all the general traffic. They enter it into the computer. Our dispatcher is dispatching it out. So that's taking place from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Kind of as a training for our dispatcher. And then also testing the radio equipment. So far, so good. We haven't seen any problems with our dispatching equipment other than low volume to start, and they fixed that, and we've been pretty good.
What do we do with the emergencies from 5 o'clock on?
Hanford just reassumes the duties.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just
Just a training facility.
right.
When do you think you'll switch it all over?
We are in the process of hiring dispatchers. We've cleared 5 through backgrounds. We're going to have to refly the dispatcher position and then the senior dispatcher position until those 2 positions really are full or filled.
Well, sometime after that, huh?
Yeah, sometime after that. We're still working with the state. we're still working with AT&T and NGA. NGA has to finish installing their 911 equipment before we can go live with that. We're kind of finalizing the lines, the phone lines going into dispatch right now. Working with AT&T to get really one additional line in there. And really start assuming those non-emergency numbers, to have for dispatch over to us.
Okay, good.
Moving along though. We did have sergeant promotional testing today. 4 of the corporals tested. They all passed and will be moving on to the next phase. So we should have a sergeant promotion coming up relatively quick. And then our PAL wrestling program is up and running. Right now we have 15 kids in the program and it's going pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So just to give everyone an update on the Tyler implementation for the EPNL module, this week and next week, we are heavily testing the systems right now. The next 2 weeks, we will be doing end user training and final testing and working out all of the kinks. We are looking to go live as of April 22nd, and we will have Tyler staff members here in office to assist us with the go live process.
What is that in plain English? What's that module in plain English? Sorry.
That is I apologize, our business license and building permit system,
Gotcha.
the last of the modules that we are going live with the public.
Do you, are the employees afforded the opportunity to do some cross training?
Cross training.
Different services that are available through our system. So in other words, if somebody comes up to the window and wants to pay something, then sorry, so-and-so Sally's out to lunch or Joe's not here today.
Within each department, yes, there is cross training.
Within each department, no cross training with other
Not
departments.
between departments, no.
Okay.
Now, you said this was the last module. I was told that there's an app portion of this. Is that still?
There's a what app
app
portion?
Yeah.
Yes, and that is part of the go live process.
Okay.
Yes, so that will come, I believe, after we go live with the permitting system.
Okay. Can't wait.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Was that it? Okay. Now we'll go ahead and go to public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. The public will have an opportunity to comment on items on the agenda once the item has been called and the mayor opens the item to the public. Is there any public comment at this time? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, and good evening. Alex Walker, representing the Rotary Club of Lemoore. I have some very exciting updates to share with you all today. Today was Youth and Government Day at Kings County, and the Rotary Club of Lemoore, alongside the Rotary Club of Hanford and the Rotary Club of Hanford Sunset, proudly sponsored the luncheon, and we're very happy to do so. There were over 50 kids in attendance learning about civics, local government, and careers that are offered in our local area. So I myself was a youth and government participant back in the day. Well, I had a lot more hair back then too, but really excited to see that this tradition is continuing and very happy to sponsor it with Rotary. Outside of that, the Rotary Club of Lemoore is also a proud sponsor of the Lemoore Volunteer Firefighters Golf Tournament that's coming up in April. And I recently learned that this fundraiser is one of the biggest and if not like the only source of income for the Leon S. Peters Burn Center. So I would highly encourage our community members to consider either donating, whether it's a raffle item, a tea sponsor, financial or even just playing around a golf. It really is truly an important fundraiser, and our Rotary Club is very happy and proud to support that cause. Outside of that, all our members are back safe from Guatemala. It was a very successful trip. Photos will be posted in the very near future. And also really want to thank the community for their excitement and enthusiasm for our little free library at Lemoore Christian Aid. It's been very successful. We've recently got it registered with the little free library network, so we'll be putting up a little plaque and have a little flag when there's new books added and all that good stuff. But really excited to continue expanding that project, serving the community and supporting our mission, water for the world and literacy for Lemoore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Mr. Gailey?
Hi there, my name is Johnny Gailey. I'm with the South Fork Kings Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And wanted to note I made it here on time today. I wanted to just let everyone know that we did send out mailers, and a lot of people did get them that are within the city limits of Lemoore. We're doing a well registration. The Groundwater Sustainability Agency is trying to understand where all of the wells are, domestic and agricultural. The state's requiring us to protect domestic wells, and without understanding where they are and how deep they are, it's very hard for us to protect them. So Marissa actually could probably hold one up. I think she's got one. So it's kind of a colorful flyer with an invite to a workshop that we're having on the 26th at the Lemoore College at 10 a.m. So if you got one and you don't know what to do and you want to get some help with that, you can go there on the 26th and we'll help you. So if you got one and you don't have a well, you can either just call the number, which goes to me, and I can take you off the list and mark your parcel as not having a well, or you can actually register an account and use the code to pull up your parcel and then just mark it as no well on the parcel. So either way, but I know some people, you guys might get some questions from people that get these flyers saying, hey, what in the heck's the GSA doing? So. If they don't know they have a well, have them call me and I'll figure it out with them. The phone number's on the flyer.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any online, Marissa? Okay. Okay, now we'll go ahead and go on to consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or member of the public requests an individual consideration. Item 4-1, approval minutes regular meeting, March 4th, 2025. 4-2, approval building division update, February 2025. 4-3, approval police department update, February 2025. 4-4, approval fire department update, February 2025. 4-5, approval resolution 2025-08 regarding public transit needs within the city of Lemoore and authorizing the filing of a claim for Transportation Development Act funds. 4-6, approval notice of completion Bush Street pedestrian crossing. 4-7, approval resolution 2025-09 declaring intention to annex territory tract number 935 to Community Facilities District number 2024-1 Public Services and authorizing the levy of special taxes therein for annex number 1. 4-8, approval resolution 2025-10 accepting the 2024 general plan annual progress report. 4-9, information only, overview of City of Lemoore solar production. 4-10, information only, warrant registers, February 26th, 2025 through March 6th, 2025. 4-11, information only, grant awards, highway safety improvement plan, cycle 12. And then we also have our special item 4-12, approval SB 496 Hurtado Advanced Clean Fleets Notice of Support. Is there any of those items that council would like to pull?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
4-5, the approval of the resolution regarding public transit needs. 4-7, approval resolution 2509 declaring intention to annex territory. 4-9, information only, the overview of Lemoore's solar production. And 4-11, grants highway safety improvement.
Would any council members like to pull any other items? Seeing none, is there a member of the public that would like to pull any of these items? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent calendar 4-1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12.
Motion.
Second,
I have a motion by Councilmember Lyons and a second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Lyons?
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick?
yes.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. 4-5. What was your,
I'm assuming that was, this is connecting the, with the letter we're sending off to,
no,
no? And then could somebody explain it to me?
whose item is that? Okay,
4-5. The public transit needs within the city of Lemoore and authorizing the filing of a claim for transportation development act funds.
she's pulling it up.
Did you have a specific question about it, or do you want an overview?
Is that related? That's not related to the Senator Hurtado?
No, that's just item 412.
Okay, so this one is just,
It's this, it's regarding the transit needs of the city.
and what are they? I mean, which is.
Crystal, do you want to do a general overview?
So these are just our local transportation funds. We get them every year. It's something that each of the cities through Kings County gets through KCAG. So we're all assigned a local amount, and that's the monies that are used towards road rehabilitation, like the road projects that we have right now. They fund the different road projects that we have going on.
Okay, is it has anything to do with the striping of the streets or the lanes or the bike lanes and things like that?
It just depends on what project we use to fund the different things. So I think right now it's usually between the local transportation funds or the gas tax funds that fund those different things.
When I was reading this, one of the things that came to mind was a couple of years ago, but maybe it was three or 4 years ago, we approved an ordinance with respect to the electric vehicles, the bike, the scooters. And at the time, public safety was concerned about that, and we have I don't know how many we have in the city, but
Yeah,
at least for one, yeah. But I know he obeys the law.
sure.
But I've seen numbers of people, they have a red light the size of a quarter on the front of them. And if they're dressed in black with a hoodie, on the wrong way, coming the wrong way at you, I mean, are we enforcing? What do we do? I mean, are we enforcing any of that? Okay, but they're in the bike lane. Yeah.
Riding opposite traffic. Still violation.
Yeah. Okay, well. All right, thank you.
Are you saying we need more bike lanes?
No, I think we need less scooters.
I think this might be the wrong item for that.
It's so bad. Yeah, so.
Any other questions?
No, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Any questions from the public? I'll entertain a motion to approve 4-5.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Gornick,
Second.
second by Councilmember Lyons, Councilmember Gornick,
All right.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes to scooters.
Councilmember Cruz,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. Item 4-7. Did you have a specific question on that one, sir?
explain how the taxes,
The tax that we approved.
yeah. So that,
No, his is specific to this item, right? Crystal, do you want to come back up? Sorry.
aren't you lucky you came tonight?
Getting your steps in.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
So this is gonna be track 935. We're intending to create the CFD that was approved not too long ago. So this will be a CFD subdivision.
For the viewing public, could you just, what's a TFC?
A CFD, it's the Community Facilities District.
And that's located at,
It's going to be on
18th and 3/4 in Glendale.
mhm,
It's the phase 3 Lennar, right?
mhm.
it's what?
Phase 3 Lennar.
They've already started that, haven't they?
They've done the groundwork, yeah.
Yeah.
They are currently
Oh, okay, all
mhm.
right. I didn't know if it was I missed a meeting, if there was another one or what, okay, good,
And this will come back for a public hearing in May, the
In
beginning
May.
of May. Mhm.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
So move.
I have a motion by, stop laughing. I can't look at it. I have a motion by Councilmember Gornick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Gornick.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. Item 4-9.
So I want to know, I'd like to know what went wrong and how we fixing it.
Well, I think that's the winter time. That's why it's low now, right?
No, I don't know, the last time.
I don't
heard
have
it,
solar, so I don't know
generating.
how it works.
So we are working with a company to look at adding solar. I think our biggest issue is on the municipal complex. We had some old, like, I don't even know what to call them, like a film, like a solar film, Ray, is that what you would say? Yeah, so like solar mats, I
So
guess.
those are not solar panels that we have.
On the parking structure?
Right.
Yes, but those do not power the complex. They go to a different site. So Esteban can come up and explain it if he'd like. He has it all color coded on here, but it explains the solar panels we have and what they provide solar power to.
Good evening.
One-
Yep, so this, the firm that actually does the monitoring, stopped the monitoring for us. Their contract was over. This is a snapshot of what we got just on rough data numbers to show us how much each site is producing. So
So are we, does that graph reflect the complex in front of the city yard?
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
It's
I
the-
can't see which color it
It's
is.
the
but
light
yes.
green one, I think, on the
Yep.
far left.
Right, okay. The smallest one?
Well, almost. The second.
Okay. That's what I thought. And so those other bars represent the other solar projects we have?
Yes, that's all the solar projects we have.
Okay.
And it's broken down by month. And that's what I was able to get from raw data that they sent over. I did request for more information. It's, well, like I said, we're out of contract with their monitoring, but they're probably gonna be able to provide us some more. If we
So
want
is the
something
problem with
specific.
is the problem with our location at the city yard that those solar panels are not really panels, or they're not very productive?
So the system on the roof, I understand, is the one that's not working, correct? Yeah, that's just an
The
outdated,
roof, not
it's
the
an
parking
outdated
lot?
system.
To the building, provides power to one of these others. I know Ray told me, I don't remember what it was, but it powers something other than the building.
Okay. So,
I think it's one of the water wells. They're nodding yes. So
Yeah.
it doesn't provide the parking structure, solar panels power one of our water wells in the building.
okay.
Yeah, so if we want more specific information, I have to get that from our vendor.
No, but the vendor is not the contractor.
They subcontracted, I would imagine years ago, that was well before my time, but I would imagine years ago they subcontracted to the installer and they're the ones providing the monitoring.
Do we own them or is it a power purchase agreement?
I don't know on that one. We own them? Yep, we do own them.
Okay.
So the numbers on the left, 20, 40, 60, 80, that represents, what do those numbers represent?
That's just the power. It's just a method to make it graph so that Excel knows how big to make that line. That's the amount of power being produced. And each color is a different site, and then each block going across the
No,
bottom. So they're all grouped.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, is the, like, where the number 60 is that a high producing? Like, I don't understand the number 60. Is that like measured in electrical
Yeah, kilowatt hours.
kilowatt hours?
Yeah, and that table is there at the bottom as well. That the table at the bottom is just a number representation of the graph at the top.
I guess the other bottom line is when you consider all of this, what's the estimate with respect to, are we saving any money with this, with our solar? Or are we as efficient as we can be with our solar in terms of our total utility bill?
Yeah, so there's always going to be a savings because they're producing. I don't have the information of how much it's saving per site on that front. And I also don't know if it's meeting, exactly what we said, what they said it was going to be producing, but they haven't triggered any alerts or anything. So we're right in the target range, but I don't know how much dollar wise it is that we're saving.
Could we get a little update on that in the next month or two in terms of just where we're at budget wise as far as, what it's cost? But I'm assuming we paid for them already, right? Or are we still paying on them?
No, I believe that they're paid for, so we'd have to look back and some of them are very, very old. So it may take a while to find that information of
Yeah,
what we
I'm
paid for
just
them.
curious as to what we're generating per fiscal year in terms of kilowatt hours and what our cost is annually in terms of our utility bills citywide. I'm not
So
necessarily picking
the
this up.
annual utility cost is what we're looking for.
Yeah, electric utility costs and what this saves us, or
Yep. Okay.
it's
It's gonna take
20%, 10%, I don't know.
Yeah, it may take a little while to put all that
Yeah,
together.
that's fine.
So is well 4 like the newest system or something? I mean,
That was my question.
Or
Yeah.
do
Nobody knows.
I know Esteban. I know you haven't been here very long.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, it was kind of rough getting some information because we're out of the monitoring, but I can definitely get some more details and break it down in some better fashion.
because I really appreciate the graph, but all the graph did was leave me with so many more questions. Not to be rude to you, Esteban, at all. Ray, is well 4 the newest site we have, or what's? I think you might know. Yeah, no.
I don't.
Okay.
They're all the same age. They were all built at the same time.
All right.
Yeah.
Something's going on at well 4.
Something.
It might have the most panels.
Yeah.
Could be oil.
It's in a nice spot.
Just really looking at the cost in terms of the cost benefit analysis.
Definitely. And what I could do is also see what the size of each system is too, because that would explain the graph
Gotcha.
a little bit better.
Thank you.
If anybody has any other questions they'd like when Esteban brings us back, if you could email him with that beforehand so he can have it ready for us, that'd be great.
Yep.
Good.
I wasn't surprised you with them. It's funner that way.
Then we have to wait for the answers.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? I'll go ahead and bring it back to council to entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Gornick and a second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Gornick?
Right.
Councilmember Lyons?
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. Item 4-11. What was your question on that one, sir?
How much was it? And what are we doing with the fund? This isn't the one that's related to that.
So these two grants, we were awarded cycle 12 HSIP grants for $315,000 for a pedestrian crosswalk at the intersection of 19th and Freedom, and $315,000 for a bicycle lane project at Cedar Lane from Blue Jay Avenue to Lum Drive.
Bike lane includes scooters too, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So moved.
Well, first I got to open it up to the public. Are there any questions from the public on this item? Seeing none, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
I have a motion, sorry, Councilmember Gornick,
All right.
Councilmember Lyons,
yes.
Councilmember Cruz,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. Moving on to public hearings, item 5-1, public hearing, resolution 2025-07, adopting an urban water management plan. Is Mr. Reader here?
It's online.
Okay. Oh. Way to work on the fly.
All right, you're on speaker, Brandon.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You might want to hold it up to that mic.
Or pull the mic down to it.
So this is just going back to the urban water management plan. We've spoken with the GSA. They're okay to push, their concerns to the 2025 report. So I don't know if the council has any other questions, but pretty much everything's still the same from the last presentation that I did.
You said pretty much the same. Was there anything that was changed?
So those are officially in the report. I don't have them right in front of me, but I can present those back. It's just the same list of questions and responses that we had before.
That's fine.
Sigma guy. Sigma.
Yeah. Did you want to talk? He shook his head that he was good, so that's why. Okay. Any questions or comments from council?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? We'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, were there any online, Marissa? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And I'll entertain a motion. I don't have it in front of me, but can somebody make sure that we motion the right thing?
To adopt an urban water management plan.
Oh, you're not gonna say all the things that they make me say? The short version. Is there a
Move
motion?
to adopt resolution 2025-07, adopting the urban water management plan.
Second,
A motion by Councilmember Gornick and a second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Gornick?
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons?
yes.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. Item 5-2, public hearing, first reading, ordinance 2025-02, adopting zone text amendment number 2025-01, initiated by the city of Lemoore to add section 9-5F-9, electronic billboards, and to modify sections 9-5F-7, standards for off-site signs, 9-5A-3, setback determination and requirements, and 9-4D-13, semi-permanent mobile food vendors of the city of the Lemoore Municipal Code. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you. Steve Brandt, City Planner. Yes, this is an ordinance proposal that we're bringing before you. It has 3 topics in it together. The electronic billboards is probably the largest one. I'm going to talk about each of them separately, and we can discuss them separately before going to the next one. So the first one is about electronic billboards. Oh, I should say for all 3 of these, the reason why we're bringing them to you is because we have had requests from property owners, members of the public, to make these changes or to consider something similar to these changes. So we're bringing them before you to see if you want to make these changes or not.
What were the nature of the requests?
We've had 2 property owners who've inquired about whether they could have billboards on their properties. With the setbacks, it's due to property owners not being able to put patio covers in their backyards. And then with the mobile food trucks, it's just asking for
some leeway on the distance requirement.
I thought it might have had to do with Maverick's sign out there on.
No, none, this does not have to do with Maverick, and that's a good point. I should bring that up. So the ordinance specifically distinguishes a difference between billboards and highway-oriented signs. So a highway-oriented sign is like the Maverick sign. It's specific to one business. So it could be the mini mart or a gas station. A billboard is a billboard. It's for rent, and it can have any number of copy on it. So what we're proposing with the billboards is, and I should say too, currently the city does not allow any new billboards. Any billboards that are in the city were put there before there was an ordinance prohibiting it, and they're just allowed to remain as legal nonconforming. There's one or two that are just outside the city limits that are in the county. So this would be a change. The way this ordinance is worded, you would only be allowing electronic billboards. There would only be initially up to 4 that would be allowed in the whole city. They must be along Highway 198 or Highway 41. They have to be within 200 feet of the highway, and they have to be at least 1,000 feet from each other and at least 500 feet from a highway-oriented sign. There's some other design requirements on how they would be constructed, height standards. And so those standards would all be in place. And if a property owner wants to apply to have one, they would need to go through the conditional use permit process with the planning commission. So the planning commission would evaluate whether this is a good specific location. So the map that you're looking at, the black lines show where it could be approved. Doesn't necessarily mean the planning commission has to approve it because it's a conditional use permit process.
So as I look at that map, and then let's use Maverick as an example.
Okay.
So that dark line that's parallel to south of 198, that's a zone where another business could put a sign up, or no?
Another business could put a highway-oriented sign, yes.
But okay, but
So it's like they're 2 separate types of signs. You have to look at it that way.
Well,
So
they
the
could-
businesses have the right to put up a sign. The
But,
billboards would be a conditional use permit that we could choose to approve if we like the application.
an electronic sign, or
An electronic billboard, yes.
yeah, my concern was that the residential community would butt up against that.
Yes, no, and that's a good point. So there's, in the ordinance, we've put some findings that the planning commission would have to make in order to approve the sign. And one of those findings is that it would not have a detrimental effect on residential areas.
Yeah, I mean, again, but the Maverick sign is kind of like 4th of July. I mean, does its purpose as a highway sign.
Yeah.
It certainly illuminates the intersection, yeah. Okay.
So that would be something, so the conditional use permit process, if there's a electronic billboard that were to be proposed and there was a neighborhood nearby that thought it would be detrimental to them, they could come to the hearing, and then it would be up to the planning commission to make the decision.
If that were to come forward, would those residents get notices like with anything else that usually comes to
Yes.
the planning commission?
Yeah.
So the other concern is going east on 198 there, just north on 198. You have another one of those little bars there. Is that the high school?
It's actually the city's basin.
Yeah, the city basin.
So
But it butts up against the high school.
Yeah.
It butts up against the high school, but you own that basin. So if you don't think a billboard should go there, don't apply for one.
Yeah. I was
We
just
put-
wondering
we
what
put-
they would advertise.
I put that zone in just in case, because I
Just in
have
case.
seen some
Okay.
cities saying, we'll own the billboard
Yeah.
and then we'll make the money. But if you don't want to do that, then don't apply for one.
And, but you don't have anything on 41.
41 is it's concentrated near Bush.
Yeah, you don't
Street.
want anything going north there.
No, because we don't have any zoning north of there. Other than there's the neighborhood commercial, but
But that land just sold up there. It's out of agriculture, I think.
okay.
I mean, it could be out of agriculture. I don't know. I know it,
But that land is currently not planned for development in our general plan
but it's in our general plan.
as ag right now.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it just sold. That's all I'm just saying.
So if a zone change were to happen and a land near the highway was changed to light industrial, then that would open up that land to potentially have a billboard. That's how it would work. So this is one we were careful how we wrote it because there are free speech issues. We can't stifle free speech, but we also can manage billboards, and we can manage how many, we can manage the location. And so we wrote in a way that we thought would be like, if you want to do this, this would be a way that we could manage it and feel like we're doing a good job with it. And we'll see what the response is. Would we get 4 applications immediately? We don't know.
Well, my concern was, or not my concern, but my thought was, those are, Maverick has started the, the height and brightness that you try and beat me, see if you can make one a little higher or a little brighter and put it on the other side of that. I don't know.
Steve, you said that there was some existing ones that are going to be grandfathered in. Did you say there's only 4 of them? Is that what you said?
No, what I said was the way the ordinance is written, only 4 new ones would be allowed.
Yeah, but you also talked about some that already
Existing ones,
exist.
there's some scattered smaller billboards that have been around a long time. I can't remember exactly where. There's one. I think it's near 198 and Vine.
So, okay, so the one that exists. So
Mhm.
let's say that person decides to, I don't know, allow someone else to advertise on it. Is that allowed, or does it have to stay the way it is?
No, they can change the copy of the sign. They can change what the sign says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's maybe a good way to describe it. We can determine whether they can have a billboard. We can't say what they
They put on
advertise
it.
on it. So I know some cities would say, well, we'll approve it if they only advertise Lemoore businesses. Well,
Yeah.
we can't do that.
But you could, in theory, though, I'm just, if I was the palace, I might say, come to us and say, boy, that basin there by the high school, it would be great to put a turn left here, and go to the palace.
Yes.
Because there is one on.
So if the ordinance was approved as it's written, the city would have the ability to make
It would
that
go
kind
through
of
the planning
deal.
commission, yeah, okay.
And you would go through the use permit process like any other, you'd be acting like a property owner.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions from council?
Do you want to talk about each of these separately, like have the public come up? Or you want me to go to the other 2 items?
Maybe we should do it item by item.
Okay.
just so that somebody, if they have a question on this one, they can ask.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. And is there any public comments on this item, within this item on the agenda? The electronic billboard.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My comments are going to be focused on the billboards because private citizen now. I just wanted to explore the potential revenue opportunities. Is the city allowed to, like, if a business were interested in putting up a billboard, I know that they're different. Like the Maverick sign is not a billboard; that's a separate issue. But if I had an advertising company and I wanted to install an electric billboard, do I, as that company, pay the city a fee at any point to be able to do that, similar to how there's like business licenses? Like what are their revenue opportunities for not only installing these, but also if the city were to manage one? But I think that got answered earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this topic?
Tom Reed, Private and more. It kind of goes without saying that no matter what you do here tonight, a future council can decide to do something different. So it's wise to make a decision that you think can't be changed in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
So the next topic has to do with building setbacks in the single family residential areas. So currently in the backyards, we have a 10-foot minimum setback for the homes in the backyard. We also, so that's for the main home. If somebody were to build, let's say a gazebo, that gazebo could be within 5 feet of the rear yard.
Of the fence, of the rear yard.
Like the
fence.
rear yard fence, yes. So, however, if that gazebo was attached, the way the wording works, if that gazebo was attached to the house, it could not be within 5 feet. It could only be within 10 feet. And so what we're running up against is people trying to put patio covers that are attached to their home and saying, I want to be within 5 feet because my house is 10 feet. And so they're not able to have a patio cover. So like, a lot of homes have a sliding door that goes to the backyard and there's a concrete pad. We've had to deny several patio covers that it wanted to be built after the fact, after the home was built. And so making this change would allow it to be within 5 feet. And then that would allow at least something to be built that could cover the patio.
Steve, this is one of my issues with our planning. Look how many houses we have with backyards with only 10 feet out the back door.
No,
So it's a problem we're
I
creating.
was expecting you to say that.
Oh, I'm glad you expected that. I mean, we're creating problems that we can't solve for people, or that, that they get annoyed with. I mean, we got this track next to the school, the college, 2-story homes, 10-foot backyards. And with our son, I mean, I mean, they're going to want to get coverage. You people doing goofy things, putting towels up and, all kinds of stuff. That's why we need bigger lots, Steve, bigger lots, bigger lots. Can't even throw a baseball at 10-foot yard. I'm off of my soapbox.
No, that's okay. I was expecting that. That's the issue, is if you want to make the change, we'll make the change. If not, we won't. So yeah.
What was the reason for the 10-foot setback to begin with? Was it fire hazard? Like, what was the purpose of that?
Oh, to have any setback? Yeah, single family residents have always had setback standards. Some cities, 10 is actually pretty generous for a rear yard. Some cities have 20, some have 15. But they've been shrinking because of going to smaller lots
And developer pressure and state
And the
pressure.
developer pressure,
And-
yeah,
and
they
state
can-
pressure, yeah, but I mean, ultimately, it's up to us.
yes,
I mean,
no,
we-
it's
we
up
could
to us
say,
to what kind
no,
of
we don't
city
wanna
do we
accept
want to
it.
have? So, this was something that, you know, the standards have been this way since I've been here in Lemoore. It's only recently has this issue come up because the lots have gotten smaller.
Is a gazebo considered a permanent structure?
Yeah. If the zoning codes for setbacks distinguish between a standalone structure and a structure that's attached to the main structure.
So if
So
you
they're-
were to
they're-
go to Costco and buy one of those gazebos that they have on display over there, and you didn't bolt it to the ground, and it's just set on cement slabs,
Mm,
is that considered a standalone structure, or what is that considered at that point? Is that need
I
a
would-
permit?
But does it need a permit?
Yeah,
It does not need a building permit because it's less than 120 square feet and it doesn't have any electrical.
But
I would say that it probably should still meet the zoning setbacks,
mhm.
but we don't go out and
No, I
enforce all
no,
that.
I understand.
It would
So
probably start as a neighbor complaint.
yes,
Well,
so
but, yeah.
when a neighbor complains, do we follow those? Are we gonna follow
When the-
this for something like that? Because I believe it or not, I already have tons of people barking at me about this. Because they're like, man, my neighbor right behind me, they put this huge gazebo up, and so said, well, it's not bolted to the ground, it's not a permanent structure. And they go in, it's 2 feet away from the fence, and I have to look at it right over the, my 6-foot fence. This thing is 10 foot tall. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious where that kind of situation.
So it's combustible, it needs to be.
Can you come to the microphone, Christy?
Yeah,
Well, okay, so.
Christy, can you say that from the microphone so that anybody, or Ray? Just so that it's on if anybody's watching this
Okay,
later.
so what exactly is your question versus what you have somebody, a neighbor who's put something up?
Yeah,
So what we typically do, if somebody's put something up that should have been permitted, and we go out there and I deal with.
so that, okay, I'm sorry, there's my question. Is it necessary to be permitted if you buy these? I don't know, they're kind of,
That is a real gray area. The reason being is because we have an ordinance that says if it's above 8 feet or over 120 square feet, yes, it has to be permitted.
so what if it's under that, but they run electricity to it? It still
Well,
has to be
then
permitted.
That has to be permitted if you're running power to it.
but there's two
But we
issues.
wouldn't know
Yeah,
unless somebody came in to ask us.
yeah.
but-
Isn't there two issues? One has to deal with the size in our ordinance, but then the other issue has to be a certain number of feet away from the fence. Right?
Yes. That's
Okay.
what Steve is.
If you go down,
talking
if you
about.
drive down Silverado Avenue, okay, if you start at 19th and go all the way to Bush and look on both sides of the street, you will see all kinds of configurations of shelters or whatever you want to call them, right up against, and some of them are very nice, but they're right up against the fence.
But
And-
those are more than likely not permitted.
Well, but they're still in violation of,
Well, no, if it's not a permitted thing, they can be right up against the fence, correct?
Well, if they're not permitted, they put them wherever they want to.
If
and
they're,
it's a
if they
matter-
don't require a permit.
I would say
No.
they still need to follow the setback
setback
rules.
rule.
yeah, there's a
If they don't
setback rule.
require-
No, I get it. That's kind of what I'm asking, yeah.
But people will come in and ask us if I buy this from Lowe's and I put it in my backyard, and we tell them it has to be within these setbacks.
Yeah.
So typically 10 feet from the back and 5 on the side yard.
So, okay. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
But no, but it
At
doesn't
what
mean that
point, at
people
what
don't.
point does the setback not apply anymore?
We just
Like-
don't enforce it.
It's a.
What's the biggest thing you could put in your backyard and not have to follow the setback rule? There.
not be a
That's, yeah,
You want to put a rock in your backyard?
yeah. A garden, a garden, if you want to.
So,
put a garden,
I've seen
fountain.
some really small sheds, like those old school, the little barn looking things.
Right.
And people used to store their, their yard equipment in that. And oh man, I'm trying so hard not to say this. An accessory structure ordinance.
Well,
And-
yeah, are you talking about the little homes? The one that the ordinance that we.
I'm
Not
talking
the-
Because that's a whole nother
a
kettle.
small aluminum shed.
And,
One room.
well, it depends on the material types. It depends on the wall type. I mean, fence type.
Single
if it
single walled
has-
aluminum with the sliding doors, the old school ones.
Well, I
They're
mean,
they're
it's-
about 6 foot tall.
If they're not a fire. I mean, again, that's kind of,
Gray area.
it's a very gray area and we would have to go back there to look and see, and we don't.
I'm not trying to make it harder. I'm just trying to understand if
Right.
that kind of stuff falls in.
I'm going to bring us back to the agenda item.
No, we're talking about setback.
Yeah. But you're talking about other structures and
Well, I'm asking what falls within the setback rule, yeah. But that's fine. Noted.
Well, I guess Steve, I go back to our planning documents. I'm not picking at you. I'm just saying, at some point, to avoid these kind of discussions and confusion with the citizens, we have to either say we're going to allow bigger lots and enforce the aspects of it that we want. And the reason we have those rules, otherwise, you can drive down streets like Silverado in this town and it's another subdivision behind their houses.
Well, Dr. Gornick, in the past, we have had bigger lots. We have had people build bigger structures.
Oh, I'm
So-
sure they will, but the
Yeah,
point is,
so it's kind of, yeah.
they could build the structures, but why can't they also adhere to the setback rules even with those bigger lots? Okay,
Well, exactly. That's if they come in and pull a permit.
yeah,
There's a
and
lot of
we
people
have
who
to be,
just
we have-
put stuff up without us knowing.
we have to
Now, if we
enforce it.
catch them,
who enforces
Yep.
those, you or police?
it's kind of a combination of both. There's nothing,
How's that combination work?
well, I deal with Soledad and we'll go out and meet at the homeowner and we'll find out whether it's permitted. And then if it's not, then we go out there and we essentially put a red tag on it. We tell them that they have to come back in, they have to pull permits and meet the setback requirements. So, but typically that is when somebody calls it in. We don't drive around looking for those types of, structures and that type of stuff, unless we catch something that's just glaring that, you see something that's 20 feet tall, then we'll go, but, yeah,
Sorry, I wasn't trying to make things harder. I was just trying to
I
understand.
understand.
Thank you.
are there any questions from the public on the setback determination and requirements? Mr. Reed?
Just one comment to kind of go along with what Mr. Lyons was talking about. We owned a home in Martinez that had a deck at the back of the house. It was not attached to the house. There was like maybe 2 inches, definite break. It was not attached to the house. How would that fit with the setback rule?
I want to know how you got up to that deck, Tom.
So just to answer that question too, this item is specific to patios that are connected to the house and whether the city wants to allow them within 5 feet of the fence line. So right now, people who have a 10-foot distance from their sliding glass door to their back fence, they cannot install an attached patio to their house. So this is just to determine whether or not council wants to make the change to allow them to add a patio that would make the patio 5 feet from the back fence rather than 10, which they couldn't have because that's where their sliding glass door is.
Did we get any requests where would those requests go? Did you get them, sure? Do we have any requests from any of the newer homes west of Bush? I figured,
Did you have written correspondence?
I just have a comment online and reads from Aaron. These small lots are going for almost $500,000 in some cases. Can you imagine what a larger lot will run?
Yeah, a lot of revenue.
Any other questions from the public? Does council have any other questions regarding the patio covers? Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
The next one is regarding the semi-permanent mobile food trucks. And currently there is a 1,000-foot separation from another business selling food. So if a food truck wants to locate in a certain parking lot and comes in for a permit, we check to see is there anything within 1,000 feet of where they're located. And if there is, then they're not allowed to go there. So the change that we're suggesting is that 1,000 feet be reduced to 500 feet. The thinking is that's going to open up to some other areas and still provide some distance between the brick and mortar restaurants. We also added something in that said because currently you can't have two food trucks parked next to each other. There has been some interest in that. And so we added in saying that if the planning commission approves a conditional use permit, then they could go there. And so in that case, we would notify the surrounding property owners before holding a hearing.
You know, business is a business. Why would we deny a business owner from competing with another business if they wanted to, you know, if there was one restaurant in one end of the shopping center and I decided to put something different than the other, we wouldn't stop them. We would allow them to do it. But the issue is there's a location for them both to exist, right? Do we identify where any of these trucks can be in the city?
They come to us and they say, I want to be at this location. And so we check it. First we check it for health and safety issues. Is it going to, have a problem being at that location for traffic or some other reason? But then we also check the distance from other businesses.
You know, part of my thought would be that if, why couldn't we designate some areas in the city where that's where food trucks can go?
That has been talked about. We've never solidified it into something specific.
By events, in terms of, let's say if the high school wanted to do something or they could have, 5 or 6 trucks there, or a number of cities that's been very successful where they put.
That would, like you're talking with the high school would be an event, which would be different than semi-permanent.
So they can do that already.
Permanent. You can already have an event and have food trucks in the city of Lemoore. You have to apply for a permit.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but what I'm also saying, I guess there's gonna be a couple of locations where that's where you can have multiple food trucks, like maybe the depot downtown, And we've done that for the beer fest, haven't we, or something like that?
The chamber,
Yeah.
which is also an event.
We are looking at identifying a location that on city-owned property that could be for food truck parking. But in the meantime, we have food trucks that have been waiting, wanting to come in and locate places, and there's not really a lot of options of places for them to go. So this change would ease up some of those restrictions as we continue trying to identify a location.
Any other questions from council on the semi-permanent food truck?
And that number can be whatever you want it to be. If you want it to remain 1,000 feet, or if you want to drop it to 500 feet, or if you want to make it 0 feet and they could be at their front door, it's totally up to the council.
Steve, why do you suggest only 500 feet? Why did you not suggest 100 feet or 200 feet? Just out of curiosity.
it's a feel thing. It's like, so for instance, there's been a food truck, there's a food truck that wants to go at the market at Lemoore and Cinnamon. 1,000 feet would be within 1,000 feet of the Starbucks and the sandwich shop, but it wouldn't be within 500 feet. And it seemed like a big enough distance. There's another building in between. So it's one of those where it's not mathematical. It's a
Yeah,
feel.
no, I get it. I was looking
But
for
I
the
should
feeling, yeah.
point out that at some point in the past, there was a council that thought 1,000 feet
Yeah.
was appropriate. So
Because I almost feel like even 500's still
Yeah.
healthy. Like I would almost be comfortable with, less than 500. I don't want to say a number because I don't want to get booed again.
Gotcha.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is also the distance between brick and mortar restaurants, correct?
yes.
Any other questions from council? I'll open it up to the public. Are there any questions on mobile vendor food trucks?
I have a comment from Connie Willis. She stated, "We have 2 food trucks on Hanford Armona close to Highway 41. Would anyone know if permitted?"
They would not be currently.
Yeah, we believe those are located in the county.
It's
So-
it's actually city limits, not county.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Oh, there is one on the north side that is county, but there's also sometimes one on the south side that is in the city limits.
Do we do anything with respect to time of operations with them? Anything like that?
We don't do well, do they have to be only open when the business is open? So they have to be teamed up with a brick and mortar business. Doesn't have to be a restaurant, but needs to be a business where that will allow the food truck's customers to use the restroom. So they can only be operating when that business is open so that the restrooms are available.
Yeah. Okay.
And they have to go through the whole process. They have to show us that they have property owner approval and everything. So
Yeah.
So would it be a similar process that the day and night market goes through for their food truck that's open when their indoor restaurant is not open? It would be that same type of process.
mhm. As long as the business is open, so that the restroom's available.
And if the business is closed, they can no longer.
They're not supposed, the food truck's not supposed to be operating.
Okay.
That's a requirement in California. It's not specific to the city. So there's a law that says that a mobile food vendor can't stay parked in one location for greater than an hour if it doesn't have access to customer restrooms.
Any other questions from council?
Mhm.
We'll go ahead and close public hearing. I don't know if there's a motion that somebody would like to make to approve it, if there's any changes that,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to
waive the first reading.
to waive the first reading and for the ordinance, is it 2025-02?
Would you be willing to amend your motion that if I would like us to review this in like 6 months or a year? Your comment about we're getting more requests from the newer homes about changing these things. I'd like to see what that.
We can just ask for that information. We don't have to be in the
So
motion.
on the patios.
Yeah.
So I apologize for not having it here tonight, but when I was creating the staff report, I did go back and I looked at the subdivision and there are only, I would say, a handful of patios that don't meet the 10-foot setback, and they don't necessarily need the 5-foot. They may just encroach into it 2 feet or something like that, but most of them have 15 feet available. So I don't have the number for you tonight, but I do remember because I wanted to see
Yeah.
how many had that, and there weren't a whole lot that, like, they didn't need the entire 5 feet to be 5 feet from the rear yard. They just needed to encroach.
You
2
said
feet.
most of the yards are 15 feet.
Mhm.
Wow.
I was
How about-
shocked too myself.
How about the one at the high school, proposed at the high school?
That one, I don't know.
Just
They haven't started
curiosity,
building,
take
they
a
haven't
look at it.
started building yet, so
Yeah,
I
right, we
wouldn't
wouldn't.
know.
I was just looking at their maps because I remember
Yeah,
there were only like, out of the 200 homes, there was only 10 who had single story, you know.
and with regard to that, I understand fully that you don't, the smaller lots create an issue. But if we want development, and we have to work with the developer and what's going to pencil out for the
Well,
developer.
yeah, but I mean, you know,
It's so we either, I've gone round and round in conversations with the developers, and it's either we come in for a PUD or they're gonna go to another city. So I
Well, the
completely
CMU
understand where you're coming from, but the conversations do go back and forth. I just wanted you to know
Yeah.
that. So.
well, you can see the confusion it's making with new
Mhm.
homeowners or with existing homeowners if they don't meet those. You know, and we're developing standards that, you know, don't allow people the comfort of their own homes in some respects, because you don't want I guarantee you, they're not putting their kids out in the backyard in June and July, you know.
And I personally, I would like a larger lot, but then I've had people tell me that they don't want all that. So there is a mix. There also is an accessory, there's an accessory dwelling section of the ordinance, and there is a table for accessory structures, and it has specific setbacks for under 120 square feet and above 120 square feet and the height, and I will send that to you.
Right on.
So
Thank you.
it's really easy.
Well, you know, the comments you're making are valid comments. We have multiple needs for people that want to live in different types of homes. But that's what the developer's got to bring to us. It's got to be a mixed use kind of a concept, you know, where we're going to have growing families. We're going to have seniors who don't want a lot of yards, maybe, or vice versa. But we might want to have seniors who want to be around a lot of kids too. But we want to give people a choice.
I am happy to say that we did accept an application for a subdivision that has they do have a few 5,000 square foot lots, but that's more 5,500, 5,700, but they have a very good mix of the, say, 5,500, 6,500, 7,500, and almost 10,000. And
Where's that
so
at?
I was like, when I saw the almost 10,000, and like I say, it's a good.
Where's that at?
It will be by the golf course it was a approved map years ago. Coker Ellsworth owns the property.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, so 84 homes, but
Yeah, but we still have the.
it
waste
sounds like
treatment
though,
plant to
the
do.
developer that's gonna go in there, hopefully we'll get some good homes. So between Vine and Champion.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
A motion by Councilmember Lyons and a second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Cruz.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Passes 4 in favor. I just want to note for the record, as Mr. Gornick said, we're not happy about it, but we understand it.
Sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we have city council reports and requests. Councilmember Lyons,
I got nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Cruz,
I had a meeting with Salvation Army, but I don't have anything substantial to report regarding that meeting. But I do want to thank Chief for keeping us safe. Ms. Valdez for working on that budget. I know it's a lot of work, so we really appreciate you. And thank you to our city manager.
Councilmember Gornick?
No, I'm good. Thanks. Apologies
Um,
for being a couple minutes late.
I just want to thank city staff for all of your work for compiling all of this and answering all of our questions. I know it's not easy and you never know what we're going to ask you. So thank you guys for all that you do in trying to get the information to us and then in answering our questions that don't get answered afterwards. So thank you guys for all of that, including the budget and all of the department reports and all of those as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go into closed session. Item 1, Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiator, Agency Designated Representatives, Christina D. Smith, City Attorney, and Marissa Trejo, City Manager. Employee Organizations, Lemoore Police Officers Association, Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit. Item 2, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, City Manager. So we'll go ahead and adjourn into closed session.